Deutschland, Phil, wie geht's?
Hello, I'm very well. Dankeschön.
Good, good. What did you want to talk about today?
I'm very excited to be online. It's my first English call-in show.
All right.
I would like to argue with you that the question, which God do you believe in, is obsolete. Because there are two possibilities. I'm an agnostic atheist, and I don't know if there is some supernatural realm or if there isn't. But if there was a supernatural realm, I asked myself, what if you were a prophet and you had an experience through revelation, meditation, mushrooms, I don't know? Then there are three problems. The first problem we would agree on this one, is to distinguish the supernatural experience from some chemical reaction in the brain. Mm-hmm. Then the second thing, and that's I'm very lucky to be on the show because of Father John. The second thing has to do with our senses, because if there is a supernatural experience and you have this experience and then you try to describe it, how do you do this with a language based on our senses? If you have just experienced something beyond our senses, it's like trying to play microtonal music on a piano. It doesn't work.
Yeah, okay, I can buy that.
Then the third problem is in the languages themselves, because I don't know if you know that we in German, we don't have a difference between sky and heaven. It's the same word.
Really? Interesting.
Yes, it's just Himmel. So you can imagine how hard it is to translate this beautiful song by John Lennon. Where it speaks about heaven and sky.
Oh my gosh, imagine there's no sky, above us only sky.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I love the idea that our understanding of supernatural events is automatically hindered out the gate just because we do not have language to properly discuss such things. That makes sense to me.
Sure.
Yes, and so I'm even prepared to say that these descriptions could very well differ so much that some prophets would perceive multiple forces, which would lead to polytheism, while others only felt one single force, which would lead to monotheism.
Yeah, and
I'm a teacher in a school. Mm-hmm. And I used to have a colleague who taught religion in this school, and she once told me about one great anecdote, because there was a little child who asked her which religion is the right one. And her answer was priceless, because she did not answer, well, ours, of course. No, she said, you have to imagine God as a big tree, and every religion looks at the same tree, but from a different angle.
That's the elephant problem.
Yeah, so I have a huge problem with that. I have a huge problem with that because, I mean, does that mean that she's Baha'i? If you look at the Baha'i faith, isn't that Baha'i? Right, or maybe a Unitarian? I mean...
No, she's sort of a pantheist, I think.
Okay. So it sounds like she was saying that, her belief is right. It definitely... See, that's the thing, is the idea that, all these religions have an idea that they're all right, or they're all onto some truth. You really have to kick out all of the things that disagree before you can get there. And I just don't think you can honestly get there. I don't think you can argue that two disparate religions are ultimately the same, because you have to add that caveat. Oh, so long as you don't pay attention to all their differences. It's just...
Yeah, of course. It does not work with the fundamentalists. It all works with very moderate theists. I'm quite sure of that. And I used to be a theist, and then I turned deist, and now I'm not sure anymore. So I've become an agnostic atheist. Mm-hmm. but I found this idea that she did not tell this child that one religion was true, but that there were multiple possibilities, that if there is some supernatural realm, of which she is convinced, but if there is this supernatural realm, that there are multiple possibilities.
Well, I think that's an interesting first step. I mean, as much as I agree with Jessica that progressive and mainstream religious people are partly to blame for a lot of what the fundamentalists get away with, I do appreciate a lot of the progressive and more moderate versions of religions that are willing to stand up and say, okay, well, you can have your belief, I can have mine, and I'm not going to try and kill you for it. Like, that's great. That's preferable. So starting out by saying, well, you know, there is no one correct religion. You know, they're all looking at this from a different way. That makes sense in one aspect, but we can go a step further than that, right? So that's a good first step. But the step after that, and I think the preferable step, would be to say, we don't know. People are saying a lot of things. Here are a lot of different claims, but we can't presuppose that tree, right? We can't presuppose that the tree that is God actually exists yet, because we are getting disparate information from each branch.
Yeah, there you. I do completely agree with you, and that's what I feel for myself, because that I don't know if there is a tree, and that's you're right. That's the difference between someone who has already acknowledged that
Right.
you cannot know, in relation to someone who has this step in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. Yeah.
Exactly. No, I think if you are a theist and you want to be inclusive, then the tree metaphor is useful. I think that that's a useful way, if you are a theist and you are comfortable in your God belief, to be inclusive. That said, I think it's still technically wrong.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't think that this tree exists either. That's for sure. But I found this example
interesting to talk about.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
Definitely something that I think a lot of people, I had an idea like that, and I used that for a little bit to stop thinking. And I think that there are lots of people who will get to that point and think, okay, that's enough for me. I'm good here.
Yeah.
Everything's kind of true. And there are more steps. It keeps going. So that for those of you who are watching, who are at that place,
Yeah.
there's always more work.
Yeah.
There's always more to learn and more to explore, and don't hinder yourself. Hey, Phil.
Yeah, and that's may I just add two quotes of my favorite philosopher. It's an agnostic philosopher from Austria, and I tried to translate them into English. Mm-hmm. The first quote is, "Not knowing is the first step to obtain new knowledge. Mm-hmm. Believing is the last step to reject new knowledge." I found that very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the second about religion itself. Religion is a Stockholm syndrome with a self-invented hostage taker.
Oh, shit. I like that. I like that a lot.
Very good.
Wow. That's clever.
Wow. All right.
That's good.
Okay.
Hey, Phil.
Thanks for sharing, Phil. And thanks for staying on the line for so long.
Yeah, vielen Dank.
Yeah, and thanks for taking me. And now I'm going to bed because it's 9:30 p.m. in Germany.
All right. Well, have a good night.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, I like that. That was nice.
Religion is Stockholm syndrome with a self-invented hostage taker. Mm-hmm. Okay.
That was pretty good.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
I mean, I have a whole thing about Stockholm syndrome, but that's for another time.
True enough.
Spoiler alert, it's not real and very sexist. Continue.
But it's still a good quote. I still like it.
No, it's an amazing quote. I love the quote.